Hi, I'm Bob Ross, and for this video I'll be your host as we solve some one-step inequalities. If you see here on question number 1, I have -12 is greater than x minus 7. So in other words, we're finding what number, when we subtract 7, will still be less than -12. So we would need to undo subtracting 7, and we'll do that by adding 7 to both sides. So we'll add a 7 and we'll add a 7. And when we have -12 and we add 7, then we end up at -5. So this is saying that -5 is greater than x. If you'll remember from my last video, we would put an open circle on -5 because it's not included. Then you would graph everything to the left of the -5 because x is less than -5. Let's take a look at number 2. We have -1 plus r is greater than or equal to 4. We could rewrite this as r minus 1 is greater than or equal to 4. If you'll see here, I made a little oopsie on my greater than or equal to sign, but there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. So I could undo this by adding 1 to both sides, add a little tree here, and maybe add a little tree over here, keep it balanced. R is going to be greater than or equal to 5. So we could put a closed dot on 5 because it could be equal to, and then shade in everything to the right. Here we would undo it by adding 6 to both sides. So when we have -14 plus 6, well, we would end up at -8. So n is less than or equal to -8. Remember, our focus here is just undoing whatever operation we have happening there. For 4, it's b minus 7, so you would undo that by adding 7 to both sides. Over here, a minus 17 is greater than -16. Well, we could undo that by adding 17 to both sides. So I hope this makes sense to you folks there at home while you're working along with me. And if you will hold tight, I got to clean my paintbrushes, and we'll move on to some multiplication and division. Welcome back, everybody, to the Joy of Mathematics. We've got some new inequalities coming up that have some multiplication and division involved, so if you want to grab your palettes and brushes, you can follow along with me. We've got, let's start with number 10 here. We'll come back to number 9 later. This here is saying n divided by 3 is greater than 3, so we need to undo that division symbol. Now, I know you remember a fraction bar is a division symbol, so we'll undo it by multiplying both sides by 3. So we'll multiply by a 3 here, multiply by a 3 there. We end up canceling those out, and we get n is greater than, when you do 3 times 3, I think you'll find you get positive 9. And remember, that'll be an open circle on the 9. And we graph everything to the right of that. N is greater than that. All right, so then if we look over here, let's go to number 13. We've got a 0 is greater than or equal to 7 times n. We need to undo that multiplication by 7. So if you would grab your brush here, we'll undo multiplying by 7 by dividing by 7. And here it gets a little bit sketchy. Some of you might be thinking, there are rules about dividing with 0, but this is okay. We can do 0 divided by a number. You've got the skill. So we've got 0 divided by 7. Well, that's just going to be 0. So 0 is greater than or equal to n. We divided by 7 on both sides. It's beautiful. All right. Let's go up here, and we can come back to number 9 now. We've had some practice. There's something special about number 9, just like there's something special about all of you at home watching along with me. Do you see how we've got a negative number attached to that 3? So we are still going to divide by -3, just like we would in an equation. But whenever we multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip that inequality. So it becomes x is less than, see how we flip the direction? And 3 divided by -3 is -1. All right, so let's try this one over here. -9x, again, no mistakes, only happy accidents. -9 times x is greater than or equal to -90. So let's go ahead and divide both sides by -9. And if you remember your multiplication rules with our signs, our division rules, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Now we divided by a negative, so we flip that inequality. The or equal to stays attached. Now a -90 divided by -9, that's going to be a +10. So x is less than or equal to +10. I hope you had fun painting with me today on the joy of mathematics. If you have any questions, please feel free to call or write in. You know I love to hear from my viewers. Thank you. God bless.